Welcome, dear friends, to Kardec Radio at 11 p.m., nourishing our souls with the Spirit of Truth. This book that brings to us the reality that we don't know yet, the truth as we evolve. Little by little, we become acquainted with different elements of the truth. Just like a child, as they enter the school system every year, they accumulate new elements. The foundation is there, and and is built up according to their capacity. Right now, at our level of evolution, the good spirits are releasing more truth. Why? Because we can handle it. Let us then invite ourselves to the truth of today. This spirit, Euripedes Barsanulfo, came through Chico Xavier in 1960-61, 60 years ago, to talk about an essential element of the truth, mediumship and Jesus. How many people consider themselves Christians and yet they do not in any way contemplate mediumship? They think mediumship has nothing to do with Jesus. Let us double check. Euripedes Barsanulfo himself was a Catholic before he became a Spiritist in the city of Sacramento, in the state of Minas Gerais, in the country Brazil. And his uncle was the one that introduced him to Spiritism through the book After Death by Leon Denis. After Euripedes Barsanulfo read that book, which was only overnight, he studied more and he never stopped. Today, he comes to us to embrace us in any doubt that we may have. Mediumship is not for entertainment. Mediumship is not for the sole personal reasons of our lives. Mediumship is sacred, sublime. Oracles are a thing of the past. We are being asked to elevate ourselves to another level. Instead of seeking psychics, mediums, to ask whether we should invest this money at that stock market or not. Whether our year is going to go by so well. I remember somebody at the school, at a university, telling me that every year she has a psychic who tells her how her year is going to go by. How many people do that? Don't feel ashamed if you do. Well, let us reason it. What does this person know? As Kardec says in the Spirit's book, first and foremost, it is on us to walk and to march towards our destiny. Yes, we may foresee certain things, but is that really a thing? We don't know, right? So here we come. You and I to redefine mediumship. Who is the reference when we talk about mediumship? Of course, it is Jesus. So let us go to the source, the model, the guide. And to talk about it, of course, Euripedes Barsanulfo refers us to item 7 of chapter 6 of the Gospel according to Spiritism. And you and I know that item 7 is all items, chapter 6, item 7 is titled The Consoling Christ, which is so beautiful because you see the order of the Gospel according to Spiritism. Chapter 5 is Blessed are the Afflicted. Chapter 6 is the Consoling Christ. So the sequence is therapeutic in itself. And the Consoling Christ, the chapters thereafter, are all about the Beatitudes. The sequence that were put together by Kardec is a genius. It's perfect. It makes so much sense. The consoling Christ, the promised consoler. Item 6, by the Spirit of Truth, in 1861. When the Spirit of Truth said, I have come to teach and console the disinherited poor. I've come to tell them to raise their resignation to the level of their trials, to weep, for sorrow was sacred in the Garden of Olives, but also to hope, for consoling angels for consoling angels will come to wipe away their tears. Workers, trace out your path. He goes on and tell us about immortality. You can read more, chapter 6, item 7 of the Gospel according to Spiritism, telling us that we are being invited to partake in the consoling messages, in the consoling wave that is sent by the governance of the earth. So Euripedes Barsanulfo releases a profound message for us today. Mediumship and Jesus. Today, whomever makes mockery of mediumship in the name of the Christ naturally forgot that Jesus was the one who most honored mediumship in this world, raising mediumship to the highest level of improvement and revelation to underpin its eternal doctrine among humanity. This is how the divine apostolate begins, sanctifying mediumship values in clairaudience and clairvoyance between Mary and Elizabeth, Joseph and Zechariah, Anna and Simeon in the establishment of the good news. So you and I know, we stop for a moment the reading to go back to history. He's making a case. Euripedes Barsanulfo is making a case. He's saying, remember, mediumship comes since ancient times. And at Jesus' time, it wouldn't be different. Even before he incarnated, before Jesus incarnated, his parents, John the Baptist parents, and others, the whole team received messages from the beyond, from the angels, through their very mediumship. Kardec, in the Medium's book, explains to us at the very beginning that mediumship is organic. It's hereditary. It passes from one generation to the next. Inevitably, we're all mediums, but at different levels. And we're going to know that Jesus, when he comes, as he says, and he goes on, praising mediumship in the inspiration of the doctors of the temple. When Jesus was a preteen, talking to the doctor of the temples, a medium. And you may be asking, Jesus was a medium of whom? Hold on to that question. At the very end, Euripedes Barsanulfo is going to say what he's a medium of, exalting it in the phenomena of physical effects, turning water into wine at the wedding in Cana. All different types of mediumship. Honoring mediumship in healing activities, in giving passes to the blind and the paralyzed, the discouraged and the afflicted, reconstituting health. Jesus shows mediumship when he levitated walking on water. He dignified mediumship in the tasks of its obsession by instructing and comforting discarnate sufferers through the mentally alienated that came before him. Glorifying mediumship in materialization, in transfiguring alongside radiant spirits at the top of Mount Tabor. You remember, transfiguration. So he shows mediumship of physical effects and intellectual effects, and always elevating mediumship in sublimated magnetism, either by relieving the sick with the simple presence of his, revitalizing dead bodies, multiplying the bread and the fish for the hungry mob, or appeasing the forces of nature, confirming the interchange between the living of the earth and the living in eternity. Jesus comes back himself before the amazed disciples, outlining plans of redemption that culminate in the day of the Pentecost, the unforgettable moment of the gospel, when Jesus' messengers convert the apostles in speaking mediums in the public square for the clarification of the people in need of light. As it is easy to observe, mediumship is a spiritual resource of attunement that shall not be confused with the Spiritist doctrine that currently expresses revived Christianity, but whenever ennobled by honesty and faith, education and virtue, mediumship is the respectable vehicle of belief in survival. Therefore, let us not be burned up against those who persecute mediumship through mockery. They are sad deniers of the Christian reality, even when they hide under the venerable badges or the titles of human authority, because mediumistic talents were incessantly in the hands of Jesus, our divine master, who must be considered above by us all the sublime medium of God. Being a medium means being an instrument, being a bridge, being the means through which something comes through, a message, an action, healing. Jesus was the instrument of God. Kardec, in the book Genesis, talks about Jesus as being the medium of God and only God. And he was in connection with the whole team in his governance, incarnated and discarnated ones who were helping with the mission. Throughout his life, we're going to see the clear features of mediumship, of physical effects and intellectual effects. When he's talking to the doctors of the temple as a preteen, he's being the medium of God. When he's healing, the medium of God. When he's materializing the bread, the fish, and also the presence of Moses and Elijah, mediumship. This is mediumship. And this is true mediumship. Today, we practice it as spiritists in the Spiritist Center. But the goal is to be so in sync with superior life that wherever we are, we'll be good mediums, like Euripedes Barsanulfo himself. He would be teaching at the college. You see the picture behind me. The very Spiritist school he created more than 100 years ago, still functioning beautifully to date in Brazil. There, Euripedes Barsanulfo counseled disturbing spirits under the trees of the school. The ones that were connected to the children, to adults, the parents, teenagers. And Euripedes Barsanulfo would often stop his lessons as a teacher, educator, and because he taught the contents of school plus the integration with the Spiritist science, he would ask for their help, saying to his students, keep yourselves in prayer, wait for me, I'll be back. And he would sit on his chair and with his mediumship of bicorporeity, he would go somewhere, help sometimes a woman give birth and come back. And then somebody would knock at the door and say, we need his help. Help is on the way already. When they came back, the baby was already born, saying he was here. How come he was here? Because his body was in the school. We need to learn it more in the medium's book, that mediumistic ability. So Euripedes Barsanulfo was the medium of Jesus on earth, like Chico Xavier. Today, if you go to the city of Sacramento in Brazil, in the state of Minas Gerais, you're gonna find in the very headquarters, organized by the admirable director of the legacy, his great niece, grandniece, Alzira Bessa Amui. Alzira França Bessa Amui. She showed us the very handwriting of Euripedes Barsanulfo in psychography, automatic writing, received messages from Mother Mary, from Jesus himself, from Anna, the grandparents, Simeon, and others. Fascinating. Parts of it were published in a book that we have here somewhere. And I'm just looking because I wanted to show to you. The book is here somewhere. I don't know. Forgive me, but the book is here. They published parts of it, and another part is probably going to come after the pandemic. The book shows to us mediumship with Jesus. Mediumship in Jesus. There is no prejudice. What about you? Are you prejudiced against mediumship? Do you know why we are prejudiced? Because in previous lives we abused it, whether as mediums or as people who abused mediums. For example, when we go to the books by Emmanuel, 2,000 years later, we see the medium Araxes. He misused mediumship because he wanted money. He was a wonderful medium. And I say wonderful in terms of phenomena, but he didn't align it ethically, morally, and the end was tragic. Later in the book, 50 years later, we're going to find another medium, this time a woman, and she also misused it. And at that book, at the very end, we see the rearrangement of reincarnation. So when we are mediums, people come to us, we receive the money, we change their lives, fulfilling their will by using our mediumship. Later, we're going to reincarnate in the same family. And then we're going to have an aversion for mediumship because we know we abused it. Our family members who are also reborn with the same task of surrendering themselves to sacred mediumship. At first, they feel aversions to it because they are afraid of making a mistake again. But we only repair when we walk that walk in the right way. Euripedes Barsanulfo is asking us to consider mediumship a spiritual resource of attunement. That's all it is. But it must be educated. It must be virtuous. It must be honest and deeply founded in faith. So he's saying to us, we need to make it sacred, educating it, solidified in faith, honesty, and practicing the Christ consciousness, which brings mediumship to virtuous mediumship. But let us not be burned up by those who don't understand it. It's okay. Yesterday, maybe we didn't understand it either. Here we are. Now we understand. We're patient. We're patient and always relying on our guiding model, Jesus, who was the sublime medium of God. What is the exercise in the next 24 hours? To be a medium of Jesus. Vanessa, what do you mean? The good spirits are asking us to do an exercise in the next 24 hours, wherever we are. Let us connect heart to heart with the governance of the earth and raise our thoughts to superior life, to Jesus, and see how we can be good instruments of His at work, at home, when we are alone. Because sometimes when we are alone, we indulge in bad thoughts, bad feelings. So when we are good mediums, we will be channeling good vibrations, whether we have people around or not. When we are in a work meeting and we visualize Jesus there blessing that relationship, we're going to visualize Euripedes Barsanulfo with us, guiding us into this practice of being a good instrument of the good, which is at the end of the day, mediumship, connection, attunement with Jesus, wherever we are. Is that a good plan? It's a fantastic plan that only comes from above. This is the plan for you and I, spending 24 hours being a medium of Jesus wherever we are, in honesty, faith, education, and virtues, turning that instrumentation of ours into sacred opportunity of serving on the earth. Wow. We are going to thank Euripedes Barsanulfo for his presence, for his shower of healing. And thank Jesus for sending this message through Chico Xavier as well. May they all be blessed as we express our gratitude, hoping that in the next 24 hours, dear God, we'll be more conscientious in being mediums of the Messiah you've granted to us. Thank you so much, and so be it. We end with a prayer because it is really profound for us. Thank you, friends, for being with us here at Kardec Radio at 11 p.m. It's always nourishing our souls, and we hope you keep tuned because there's always more at Kardec Radio. Thank you so much.